Alright, just got a phone call partway through the video to start over. I've been meaning to get a video of my filter system with do-it-yourself drawer, like Rubbermaid drawers. I know Daryl, I've been supposed to be doing it for him so he can see how it's done. So here it goes. Filter system is actually down here underneath the tank. Water goes through these drawers. I got lots of pot scrubbies in there, but I'll get to that in a second. We'll start inside the tank. Okay, the water is in the tank and it has to get down to that filter. We have these overflow boxes here. They have little slits in the top, so the water goes back into those. And the system I'm using is called a Dorso. What it does is the water goes through these slots here, and this is the drain pipe. These go down into the filter below. This is where the water comes back up from the filter through the pumps. But this pipe here has a T-fitting, so that, and then a 90-degree adapter, so it creates like a U shape. I believe I can just kind of pull this part off here. That's not glued on there. You have to drill a little hole right here in the top to allow air to go through. I know the other day in their last meeting where somebody had asked, how to quiet them down. And this is what I found to be the quietest way without running the third line. There's definitely not room in here for 3. I've got 1 inch here for the drain, and it's half an inch. I'm taking that back. It's 1.5 inch for the drain, 1 inch for the return line. Yeah, I had little strainers on this, but it restricted the flow too much. So the water goes through there. I'll get it back on here. Make sure it stays on. Okay. So we'll come down here now. I'll start down here underneath the overflow. Hopefully we can see that. I don't need a flashlight. Okay. So this tube here, the 1.5 inch, is the drain line. So the water comes from that pipe. Goes down here. I got a little restrictor valve there, a ball valve, so I can flow down the drain if I need to, which it is restricted because the grooves up there in the overflow slits are a little bit too small. This side's not, the other side is. I haven't widened them yet. So it comes through there, and they go down into these boxes. This side over here feeds this drawer. That side over there feeds this drawer. They cross over just so we have room for the hoses without actually like putting kinks in them. So this water flows down into these. And these are not fancy expensive bulkheads. These are all PVC fittings that I just bought at Home Depot. The only actual bulkheads are the ones going into the tank. So the water comes down. I went in this tube. I cut a piece of plexiglass and added it to the top. It's the same shape as the little dent that's in that. It just strengthens it because this plastic's pretty flimsy and this is a pretty thick tube, a thick pipe, and it really flexes. So that piece of acrylic really helps with that. So the water drains down in here. And if you can see here, it just drains out. There's the water coming down. So I got the Blue Bonnet filter pad here first. Underneath that, I have a sponge. There's the little pot scrubbies. These work like bio balls. Bacteria actually grows on these. These have a lot more surface area than bio balls do. The bio balls are probably 10 times as much in price as these, and these actually do work better. So we got the sponge for the second layer, and then I have this, I don't know, I got the stuff right next to it. It's a real tight woven kind of pad. It really helps catch the debris. I just cleaned them the other day so it doesn't look so bad. I have an egg crate here stopping it, and then underneath that there's these filter pads. Or the pot scrubbies. You can get them at doitbest.com. And they don't deliver to your house. You have to put in your zip code, and they deliver for free to the nearest store, hardware store that sells Do It Best products. Got this up to close the drawer here. 1 second. I thought I paused that, but I didn't. Okay, now if I'm trying to catch it so you can see. In the bottom of each one of these drawers are, each one, by the way, are just stacked with these. I alternate. These ones I have going this way, so the next drawer, they're going this way, from front to back. In the bottom of each one of these drawers is a lot of little holes drilled. You see those? So after each one, it comes out kind of like a shower head. So it distributes the water flow evenly to the next set of pot scrubbies. And the other one I'll be able to show you better because this one has the faster flow rate. You can see here how that comes through. And how I did those holes was I used a soldering iron. Just the basic soldering iron that you plug in. And I used a piece of pegboard that I cut to the size of the bottom here. And that was my template. And I just used the soldering iron to melt each hole in there. It takes a while, but it's worth it. If you try to drill it, the plastic tends to crack. And then you don't just have just your little hole going through. There's like a crack and it doesn't come out as even. And then each one of these, not the top one, but each one of these I actually cut slits in the sides too as a backup, just in case it clogged or something like that. The water is able to come out the sides as well, not just through the bottom. You can see the little slits there. So it goes down through all those pot scrubbies. I've got 1.5 of the drawers are each underwater. A lot of people say, oh, that's bad, it doesn't work, they need oxygen, etc., etc. It may not work as well as all being exposed completely to air, just the water trickling through that. But if it didn't work at all, canister filters would not work, and they do. Between the water coming down that pipe and going through here and trickling through, it's getting enough oxygen to feed these pads that are underneath the water. Also in here I have a UV sterilizer, which is right here. It's definitely not large enough for this tank. It's 18 watts, but it does help. And that's being fed from this power head right here that has a sponge filter over it. And that pumps the water into this UV sterilizer, and from there it comes, and the output's right here by one of the return pumps, so it pretty much goes through there and straight out for the most part. I tend to put also in these, I don't have it now, but I use Purigen, or you can use Carbon or ChemiPure, one of those. I would put that underneath that white pad that's under there, the dense white pad, and that will help filter out any toxins or whatever. And this right here, that advanced polyfiber, those are the thick pads that I got. Over here we also have, I have a Rena Filstar. It's a Filstar 3. and that's just to kind of help remove extra debris. And that runs right here. That blue tube there, it drains down into that, and it comes back over on this side. It's the blue tube in the back there. And now it's all cloudy because I was messing with it. So anyways, then I got the return pumps, and those come up, and I also have restrictor valves on those too. So not only can I restrict or, you know, change the flow coming down into the filter, but I can also adjust the flow rate going up to the tank. You kind of have to tinker with it to get the right flow rate. Either way. So it goes under there. Back from this filter, it goes up the little 1-inch pipe. Back up. That pipe comes all the way to the top. Climb back up here. Okay. Now we're back up to the top, and I have a T here. And in that T I have a little Y split. These are the ball and socket joints. And then there's just two wide, I think it's a 2-inch wide spray nozzles. And then I have one over here to the right. It's just a 1-inch spray nozzle. It just kind of keeps everything stirring around. And that's about it. I also have a restrictor here that I can restrict the flow there if it's too much going into this one little corner. And I think that pretty much explains it. If you have any questions, go ahead and post a comment below. I'll answer it if I can. And I hope this helps somebody who's going to try to set one of these up. This is a 75-gallon tank down here, by the way. It's a huge stand. Most people won't be able to fit that big of one. If you actually, if it's smaller, you can use a Rubbermaid bin. I've used that before, and I've had to use a cargo strap with some pieces of wood to keep it from bowing out because of the water. And whatever you use, make sure that there's enough room to open these drawers inside the bin. So if you were to use like a little 13-gallon bin that's only this wide, there's no way you'll be able to open these drawers to access inside the filter, and you want to be able to do that. Every once in a while I take these out and spray them off with water to clean them out. And I clean these filter pads about once a week, take them and rinse them out until they basically can't be rinsed out anymore. Then I replace them. And these sponges that are in here are just basically starters. If I start a new tank, these guys already have bacteria. I can go squish those out in the other tank and leave it in there, and it helps jumpstart the system to cycle it. So, if you have any questions, let me know.